Hi, my name is Jessica, and I wanted to start this channel because I wanted to make it easier for neurotypicals and highly sensitive, empathic people to actually understand the mindset of people who are toxic, people who are narcissistic, personality disordered, or even just people that are shallow in terms of emotional depth and emotional intelligence. So I decided to start this video being very basic in my explanation of emotional depth and why narcissists or toxic people are easier to have relationships with other people than maybe to people that are not that. People who are empathetic, and people who are highly sensitive, and people who are very in tune with the emotions of people around them, like an emotional intelligent person. So I created a concept in order to explain this, so that maybe it's easier for people to grasp it, because when you grow up knowing how to empathize with people, for you to step into the mindset of a narcissist or somebody that doesn't have that capacity for emotional intelligence, it's like it's like so hard to grasp your mind around it, because you're like, this is emotional connectivity to others, to objects, to memories, to items. They're what build your personality up. That's what builds your sense of self. So when you meet somebody who doesn't have that capacity to have emotion for others, it's really jarring, because you're just like, how do they even function? Like that's always been my question. So I'm an aspiring psychotherapist, and I do a lot of research. When I'm like, I work in a field of mental health and youth and adolescent work. And I've done it for over 10 years, and I really enjoy it. And a lot of my spare time is towards researching this kind of thing, because it really does make me understand the kind of people I work with, especially the youth that I work with. So I've put something together today, and it's supposed to explain the difference between like somebody with really high emotional depth versus somebody that has barely any emotional depth, who's very shallow. So we all have containers. And a neurotypical person will probably have a container like this. Okay, so they have a container, they can fill it up, they have a personality that's inside that can hold things, that they can, reach into their past and like pull things out that like make them. So like, for instance, if they enjoy fishing, they have an emotional connection to a memory of fishing, or an emotional connection to the parents, that they have emotional connections to relatives, to films, to sports, to anything. And it's beneath the surface of the container. And it's normally always filled. Everyone depends on some form of external validation, but people that are neurotypical mostly can always validate from within. And that's when they make a goal for themselves, and they're able to get a dopamine hit from achieving that goal and raising their emotional depth in that area, and being like, that's something I really cherish and I want to keep inside my container, and this boosts my self-esteem. So this is like a neurotypical person. This is an empathetic or highly sensitive person. They have a very large container. They have a lot of emotional depth. There's a lot beneath the surface. It's extremely vulnerable because it's very, very transparent and see-through. So a lot of the time when they're out in public, they're very open with who they are, and everybody can see it, unless they are more quiet with how they want to approach people in communication and socialization with others. Somebody who's toxic, narcissistic, personality disordered, or shallow, self-centered, entitled. These people have a very small container. They have a very, very shallow container. Somebody with a personality disorder, they don't have emotional depth because they don't know how to experience it. They've never been conditioned or taught to access those areas of their brain in order for them to feel that depth. So that's why a lot of the time you hear about, them not being able to connect to people, and that's because they can't. There is nothing there emotionally for them to dig deep into. Everything is just, they have no object constancy. They don't have, they just have a lack of emotional intelligence in order to understand the thoughts of others. So they're very, very, very shallow. So when they see somebody with a big container like this, they want to siphon that person's resources. But the thing is, because they're so shallow, it evaporates very quickly. So meanwhile, somebody that's like empathic like this and highly intelligent, so like emotionally, and has a lot of depth, because they have so many experiences that give them the emotional depth, whether it's creative hobbies of painting or playing an instrument or watching a beautiful sunset or a movie that touches them, that brings them nostalgia of a time in their life when they connected with a certain character in the film. They have a lot of connection. They have a lot of capacity to feel connection with others around them, to the point that it's overwhelming. Like, it is so overwhelming that it's almost a practical curse. But it's a gift. It's something that they're either born with, and they have a nurturing environment in order to build this kind of capacity. A lot of them have been actually people that have suffered from trauma themselves, which conditioned them to build this kind of capacity, because in order for them to survive, they had to have this capacity to understand the people around them to survive. But these people, even if they did have trauma, their survivalism is like every man for himself, basically, and I can't trust anybody because I've been hurt too much, so I'm just gonna stay shallow like this. And the other thing is, like, so let's say that this is a neurotypical, right? Somebody who's an alcoholic or somebody who's suffering from addiction, they stay on the surface. So like, this is basically the narcissism shallow person container going on top. So they have, like, those people, a lot of the time, they might be narcissists, who knows, but some of them are not. And they have the capacity to actually fill their container. But due to the fact that they've suffered so much pain in their lives, they don't want to actually go beneath the surface of the shallow top of their container. So drugs and alcohol and other substances is what keeps them from entering this area of emotional depth, because the only way to heal from an addiction is to go beneath the surface and fix whatever's down here. Because to enter this area, it can build emotional intelligence and resilience to become the best version of yourself, the self-actualized version of yourself, if I could say so, as per Maslow, sorry. So this person, when they meet another person who's just as shallow, this is the easiest relationship for them to keep, because there is no expectation for emotional depth. This person's not asking for emotional depth, and this person's not looking for it or asking for it either. They're only looking for compliments to validate their attractive looks because they're so shallow. It's all external validation. It's nothing beneath external. So if this person bakes them cookies, this is great for them. If this person washes their dishes, this is great for them. If this person compliments them, this is great for them. But they're not actually asking them, like, who are you? What is your emotional depth? There's nothing there. This person has personality. This person has an actual sense of self, an actual sense of being. They were not stripped of their personality from a childhood based on their need to survive in their environment. This one was. They needed to strip their environment of depth in order to survive in the present moment with what they had. So these people are constantly in survival mode. And that's why they siphon the resources from this. Because they don't have the depth to be able to hold up their own sense of self or their ego. They need others to do it for them. So that's why this person can be alone in a room, validating themselves through a creative endeavor or doing something by themselves. But this person doesn't even know who they are without external validation. They don't know their worth without somebody telling them who they are, because there is no personality. So when they see this person, they see a mask. This person's holding up a mask. This person's holding up a mask. So because this person believes their mask, cool. You're believing the mask, and that's what I want you to believe, because I don't want you to see the dirty shit beneath. That's not there. So that's why this works. This person, because they have so much emotional depth, can see that this is a mask. So then they're like, I don't want to be around somebody that's this shallow. And this person feels threatened by the fact that this person has so much emotional depth. So they can't be around this person either. Because this person is mirroring their insecurities. They're mirroring the fact that they don't have this depth that this person has. So that's the reason why, I hear so many videos about, people who are highly empathic and they're being narcissistically abused by a spouse or a boyfriend or a parent. And they're like, I just want to love them. And it's like, you can't, because they know this is who you are. It's impossible for them to understand this depth. They want you. They want you to be like this. They want you to be like them. Because then you don't threaten their existence. You don't threaten the fact that they don't have emotional depth or emotional intelligence. So that's why they belittle you. That's why they abuse you. They put you down. They physically and mentally assault you. Because they want you to turn into this. So that it's never ever safe to go back to this around them. I hope that makes sense. Sorry, this is a really wet analogy. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a message. But yeah, I hope this makes some sense to you as to why it's better to just leave the narcissist alone, or the shallow person, or the person that's arrogant and feels that they are more important than you are, because it's like, if they're trying to shrink you to this, it's not even worth it. And the people that they feel more comfortable around who are like this, they're not as great as you are if you have the emotional depth of this. And it's why they envy you and hate you, is because they know that you have way more emotional connection to others than they can ever have in their whole life. So, anyway, thank you for watching. Have a nice one.